Well, hi guys, welcome to the session. My name's Paul, this is Plan Z, and this is part 2 to part 1, and I start out feeling a bit guilty because I mentioned in part 1 that we were going to cover a reverb patch, and we didn't do that. I saw the clock on the camera, I was like, shit, 20 minutes, they said the video, and that will feature in this video now. So we're going to pick up where the last video left off. We'd created a sound, which if you want to understand the variables and the exploration we went to get to this, check out the first part, which I'll link below in the description. But let's just hear that where we ended up is we've got this kind of sound that I can chuck a fuzz onto. Okay, and if you want to understand how we built that racket, so with a bit of slicers and the action of both the harmonizer and the pitch shifter, check out the video from before. But let's get on to some serious sounds now, where we didn't just sling it together in a session as an experiment. We've kind of gone out of our way to build it. And actually, let's start out with the second version of this, where all I've done is I've used the same patch, which is a twin going into GT1000 cabs. We've got our dry signal passing. And what I wanted to do is create a reverb that might be reminiscent or heading in the right direction. I only put this patch together last night. Heading in the right direction to, let's extend the feedback on the verb. Now this verb is just the ambient. I'll scroll through the settings. This is just the verb on its own going into the compressor. Alright, so a wet channel, so there's no dry coming through. But what I wanted to do was colour it. So this gives it the kind of vibe of the shimmer. Just going to bring my fine tuning. It's giving some extra harmonical content and feedback into the reverb, but when I add it with this side, we get even more. I might have my yeah, we're cranked quite a lot there. Let's pull that back a bit. Okay, so that's kind of given it a slightly different vibe to the shimmer. And here I just saved another version of that where we're just pushing slightly different frequencies. And here, the only thing that's different, I'll talk you through here now, what's going on, is I've got two mono in the pitch shifter where we're at unison and we've got plus 12. So a lot like a shimmer, only I've got no low frequency there, yeah? That's lovely, isn't it? Okay, got the direct mix at 50 on this side. I'm in the slow. I have got the fine tune off. Got a bit of pre-delay, and we've got the feedback on. Okay, the level's at 50. Same across the other side, more or less, but the level will be slightly lower. On this side, I'm using the pitch shifter. We've got two stereo. It's in the middle again, so unison, but I'm at plus 5s, none of the direct mix this time, but let's try introducing a bit of that. Yeah, that's quite nice, I like that. Let's just have a quick look at this compressor, pull it back a touch. Now the reverb's the same, we've got chorus on, but let's just take these off and hear what's actually really going on. So this one is just doing that, and I dialed it in without hearing it. I was putting it into the reverb as I dialed it in. But on this side, let's just change the that way. I'm running 2 stereo, so it's either side of us giving us more width. And I'm, you know, as I say, I'm using these keys like this. So that's adding the extra movement there, okay? Let's turn the one on the right. Oh, the feedbacks are the same, aren't they? I wonder if what we might want to do when this is open as a dual, and I might already have done this on the one side. Look, I've done this as a low pass filter, only allowing frequencies through below 4K. So let's do the same on this side, because there's some high frequency content there that we might not want. So we're using this as a high cut. So we're just cutting at 4K. Yeah, that's a lot more harmonious. Now let's get our reverb compressor, and let's get that chorus out. And where it differs from the shimmer is you can use, in this one, you can give it a different flavor. So here, let's go sevenths. You can't do that in the shimmer. Add a little bit more suspense. Let's come back to fifths. So you could have that as an assign and a tune and play between the keys or whatever key you're working in. Are you with me? So I'm just going to save what I've done there. Quite like that. Excuse me. Now, let's go to, what are we on? Let's just cover this one. This is quite a nice one. So I'm just going to, bear me a moment. I can't remember what cab sim I got in here, but I'm pretty sure there's a twin being used. So I'm just going to put a twin dynamic IR and say, we are, but we're bypassing here. Okay, so what's going on in this patch is I'm using the pitch shifters. So I've got my, with my dry signal, is adding pretty plinky plonkies, right? So what I've got is a +7 on one side, one voice. On the other side, and this sound develops, we've got +12, okay? So the frequencies you couldn't pick with a shimmer, for example. But then I've used the pre-delay here. The fine tune isn't touched, but the level's high. I've got none of the original coming through, and there's no feedback on, okay? But I can if I want. I've done an assign, and these are both set the same, except this one's picking a different, this one's in sevenths, this one's in plus octave 1. Just checking my eyes are seeing right. So here we could add feedback. So I've got an assign where it cranks the feedback of both. What I might do here is try the same trick. I quite liked how that worked, but it might take too many highs off. So I'm going to leave it for the minute because I quite like how my sound was working, okay? So, but leaving that without any feedback, what I then do is I was like, oh, right, so I want that to play around me like a keyboard would. So I then introduce a delay before it, where on one side, I've got 2000 milliseconds, and on the other side, 1250, okay? Now I cut my dry signal out there so we can just now focus on the wet channel, because how I actually intend to use this is on its own, but I've got it set up so I can use it with me. So in my jam, excuse me, I've got a line that would go which adds some beautiful atmosphere into my music. Now after there, I've got to play around with a delay where when the heel is back on the expression switch, I've got the delay on 30. Let's bring it in. Now, once that's faded off, I'm just going to bring this up. So we go to a point where it's just oscillating. I'm then going to turn off that delay and leave that hanging behind me. And then I can fade it off to leave space for my last note. Are you with me? So it's a nice way of creating atmosphere outside of your guitar, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to come out of that patch. And now let's have a look at, now I'm probably going to do a separate video because the expression bend, which I've actually got here in this channel, we can use with high gain amps, etc., in the most obvious of ways. So I'll cover that in the deep dives because I've set a few up there for us to look at. But in this one, I'm using it with an overtone. So the S bend is a feature you would be able to do on the PS's, I think 6, where you could bend your note, but here we can do it manually using our expression switch, okay? Or we can set it to an assign to go to wherever we want up to plus 24, which is plus 2 octaves, okay? And you can see there what's happening. So in this sound, what I'm looking to create is a kind of keys type sound where I'm using the overtone into a little bit of a centaur to give a bit of just a little bit of warm hair to it. We've got a direct mix through, so I'm kind of using it a bit like a saturator in terms of a parallel effect, if that makes sense. Running into a chorus and then a bit of wets afterwards, running into GT with a comp at the end. And how I would use that, for example, or attempt to, is let's see if I can't get just play along to a beat. Hang on. Let's try bringing some bass in. Once I've taken a loop of that part I just played, I was playing another harmony up here at the top. And what I'm going to do just while we're in here, I'm going to leave that where that is. Let's just stop that session, not that session, that loop, because it will do our heads in. So that's kind of an idea of how you can use this in a wet. And what I'm really looking for, and I didn't get there, is my last note. Let's turn off that distortion, see if it makes a difference. Yeah, so maybe I do. I'm going for the last note when I played that, and maybe I need to go for the whole chord and bend the whole chord up. And that's one of the beautiful things about the S bend, is it will, you know, it's not so pretty when you get into the high ends, but again, we could maybe manipulate that here. I've got my high cuts caught up with my amps there, but if I put this after my amps, so I wonder if we could have a quick look at that in this video. Is that, oh, we're almost at 15 minutes. I'll save that for another video. Let's, did I change anything? I can't remember. Let's just look at the last patch quickly, which is a patch I covered before in the feedbacker video, where we've got a feedbacker here as an oscillator. So I'm just gonna bring in the oscillator, and then I use, so it sounds, let's bring in the harmonies. So I've got using 2 harmonizers. I've explained how I set this up in the previous video, so I won't spend too much time here, but I can change key. We've got 2 different key sets happening on this side. That one just changed, this one just changed, it will go back. Okay, so I'm just going to end that video there. That's a little insight into a few different ways that you can use your harmonizers, not just in the obvious, but as kind of to color your wets and create other kind of synth pad type sounds. In the next video, we'll be looking more at the pitch bend on the heavier side of things, and in a glitch sense, and how we can use this in a glitchy way. Yeah, see you in those videos. I'll catch you later. Bye.